It's our first What's for Dinner Wednesday of 2022. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Kira if you are new, and in today's video I am back to share with you guys my version of a what's for dinner. So I don't usually break down every recipe because a lot of these recipes are super simple that I can just literally talk and walk you through, or there's something I have a link to, whether it's a Pinterest recipe or a recipe video that I've shared exclusively just sharing a specific recipe. But when it comes to actually capturing what we had for dinner, I like to be able to share with you guys a wide variety of some of the things that we've eaten, because unless I'm doing these weekly, I would never be able to share with you some of the amazing creations that come out of my kitchen. Food is definitely my passion, and when you see the plates, you can see the love that I put into every single one of them. So I'm excited to share with you guys what I have. I'm not even sure how many clips I have, but I have, you know, a bunch of really good meals to share with you guys. A lot of yummy things that we had over the last month or so. So I'm going to take you down to my counters in the kitchen and I'll share with you what I cooked up for the month of December. So the first meal that we're starting off with today is something super simple, but it's something that I love to make for my family, and that is soup and sandwiches. Obviously, there's such a wide, vast variety of soups and sandwiches, so the combinations are endless, but I also feel like this is a kind of meal that's for those days where you just don't have time. It's a karate day, it's a dance day, and we just don't have time for the elaborate meals. I always can fall back on a soup and sandwich. So the sandwich is actually a BLT. It probably doesn't look like that. BLTs never seem to look the same without that bright red tomato that your eye is looking for, but that's actually the yellow heirloom tomatoes that I get from Trader Joe's. It might not look like what you're used to, but I guarantee you that it tastes better because that tomato is so much sweeter than a regular red tomato. So between the tomato and the lettuce and the fresh crispy bacon and a little bit of mayo on some slightly toasted bread, that is probably one of my idealistic sandwiches. And then the soup is actually a loaded baked potato soup that I get from Every Plate. It's one of my favorite meals to get from them because it is super easy. Their soups are so great. I love this one and I love their corn chowder. Both of them are so good, but this was a quick and easy soup to make along some BLTs. So this was an easy night for mom. So this was the second time I'm making this meal. I don't feel like it came out as good as the first time because I used some different ingredients, but I will tell you guys that this is a recipe that I will share with you in the future, although honestly, it's 3 stinking ingredients and you really don't need me to share with you how to do it. So this is a pork chop. It's the French onion pork chop. Again, it doesn't look the same as what I made before. I made a whole tray of this for myself and then for Vanessa when she had COVID. Like, I dropped this off at her house because it was one of the things that, like I said, was super easy. So you just take a raw pork chop, season both sides with salt and pepper, and place them in a baking pan. And then you're going to top the top of all of the pork chops with French onion dip. So the first time I used Great Value, and then this time I think I used Hell of a Good. And believe it or not, I think the Great Value did a better job than the Hell of a Good. And then you're going to add some shredded cheese. Now, the first time I added regular shredded cheddar. This time I added white jack cheese, and I feel like the regular yellow cheddar was better. So after you put the French onion dip on, you're just going to sprinkle cheese on top, and then you're going to sprinkle some of those fried onions, like the ones that you would use for a green bean casserole, and then you just bake it in the oven for 30 to 45 minutes on 350, depending on how thick your pork chops are. And the French onion dip just kind of seeps into the pork and it makes it so tender, and then the cheese and the onions are like the perfect flavor up top. And so alongside of it, I just went ahead and made cheesy rice. That was the night I was supposed to make my creamy garlic orzo, and we were out of orzo, and so I just made the rice instead, like a cheesy version, and it was pretty good. And I did that with some carrots. Like I said, I have an overabundance of carrots from Every Plate, and so I just peeled them and I sauteed them in a pan with a little bit of brown sugar and some butter, and they come out super sweet and yummy. But that's what we had for dinner that night. Now that, you guys, is what a ooey gooey piece of baked ziti looks like. I have a super old video of me sharing how to make my baked ziti, but I'll link it up above for you guys. I think in that video I also share how I make my chicken parmesan, so it's definitely a Italian giddy video, but it's a little peek and an insight into my Italian heritage and what I am really super good at cooking. And on a night like this, sometimes I'll serve salad or breadsticks, and sometimes like the baked ziti is just enough. And so for me that night, I literally just had the baked ziti, and I stick my piece back in. I cut my piece and then I put mine on broil so you can see around the edges. It's like extra crispy and crunchy. I love like the crunchy cheese and the crunchy noodles that are just on top of the baked ziti. But this was a super simple night for me. I know baked ziti doesn't sound like it, but really when I don't have to do side dishes and I can just assemble something in a pan and bake it, put it on the table and serve, like that's considered easy to me. So this was a really yummy night, and I will share that recipe up above. And then this is something that I have shared as well. I always like put in a disclaimer because some of my cooking videos are really old, and like this particular cooking video, I like went on and on. Well, that's not much different than regular, but my intro was really long because I was talking about something that had nothing to do with the video. But once you get into the bulk of the video, I feel like this is a really good recipe. So this is my creamy chicken enchiladas. I'll link it up above for you guys. But again, a super easy recipe. You're just going to take 2 cups of shredded chicken and add that to a bowl with 1 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese, 2 cans of green chilies, and you're just going to go ahead and mix that up. I usually throw in just a little bit of taco seasoning just to kind of give it that Tex-Mex flavor. And then you're just going to go ahead and roll that up in a tortilla and then put it in a baking pan where you'll cover it with any kind of salsa verde and then top it with cheddar cheese and bake it in the oven. Everything is cooked, so you're essentially just kind of getting it like ooey and gooey, but I really enjoy that. I always pair it with some sour cream on the side, and I always love a crunch factor, so I love some kind of chips, and those are those Doritos from Trader Joe's. So we're going to talk about those a little bit later when I share with you my sheet pan nachos, but the Doritos from Trader Joe's are just the most amazing Doritos, and they go alongside of everything, honestly. And so I have a little bit of the Doritos with some sour cream, a ton of green onion because I love that, on top of my creamy chicken enchilada. So be sure to check out that recipe as well. Another super easy recipe that you don't even really need any kind of recipe guidance for, because this is really more just geared towards your taste palette. And I love layering things in a bowl because I feel like it's just like all of your flavors, if they go really well together, it's like everything's just kind of like put in this tight knit little package for you that you just want to dive into the center of and eat. And this is a stir fry that you guys can totally gear this towards anything that works for your family. There's not a whole lot of veggies in mine because a good portion of my family doesn't like vegetables, but you guys could go crazy with snap peas and broccoli, or you could do all kinds of peppers and onions, zucchini. Like any kind of stir fry is endless what you can put inside. I do have a little bit of peppers and onions, but they're minimal and they're cut small, so they kind of dissolve, but you can still get the flavor. If you look hard enough, you can see a few of them here or there. But I just grab like a teriyaki sauce or a sesame chicken sauce. Everything by like P.F. Chang's is really, really good and works out for any kind of stir fry like that. And so I just go ahead and grab some regular plain old chicken breasts, and I just cut it into tiny strips or chunks, and then I saute it in a little bit of olive oil and some sesame oil. Sesame oil really is the key to giving it like any kind of Chinese takeout flavor. And I just saute that, like I said, in the vegetable oil and sesame oil with any kind of veggies. And then once it's done, I put it over rice. I will do like a fair amount of butter and salt in the rice and cook the rice in chicken broth to give it some kind of flavor, but I'll just put that as a bed on the bottom, and it's going to absorb all of that juice. And that, like I said, the P.F. Chang's, the sesame chicken is great, the teriyaki is great, and you just add that to the top, mix it through so it's hot, and then layer that on top of your rice. Again, it's completely topped and covered with green onion because I love the flavor of that, but I also feel like it goes really, really well. So definitely keep stir fry as an option because it's something simple, quick and easy, and extremely versatile. You're probably like, oh, look, another picture with green onions. I'm sorry, you guys. I like them, and I feel like they go really well with so many dishes, and you will see a fair amount of Tex-Mex dishes from me because we do have some kind of Tex-Mex every single Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday in our house. Everybody knows it, and they look for something like that. And this is something I did last week. I just kind of want to switch up our regular taco game. No enchiladas, no plain tacos. So we did taco salads in the tostada bowls. 4 come in a pack, and I get them from Walmart. They're like almost $4, so it's under $1 for each one of these shells, and you just bake them in the oven for like 4 to 5 minutes, just like you would a taco shell, just to get them like the greases to come out and to crisp them up. And then I just did what I would do for any kind of taco salad. There's lettuce at the bottom, and then I put the seasoned ground beef, and then you could see that there's liquid nacho cheese and sour cream and tomato and green onion, and there's some cilantro in there. And so really just whatever works for your tacos, but I would try those taco bowls because it's definitely just a switch to your taco game if you're like stuck in the same old rut of like, you know, soft tacos or hard tacos or whatever. Just the bowls and doing a taco salad. I don't know. We like that occasional switch, but that's what we did for one of our Taco Tuesdays this month. Now I think we've reached one of my favorite recipes that I'm excited to share with you guys. And it really isn't so much a recipe. Well, it is. I will link it down below. Like, I kind of tweaked it a little bit, so it's not exactly the same. Obviously, every recipe is customizable to what works best for your family. But this, you guys, is the French toast Christmas morning casserole. This was Christmas morning. And that is all of the bread pieces that you guys suggested I use to make French toast casserole by cutting the crust off of my kids' peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And let me tell you something, there's no way you guys could ever recreate this because this was using the crust from all of those American Dream nut butter flavors. So it was every kind of flavor in there. There was fall flavors, there was Christmassy flavors, there was the regular flavors we started with. Like, there were so many different flavors in there, but they all worked. And you pretty much just add eggs and milk with vanilla and cinnamon into the crock pot with all of your bread pieces. And I put them in a bowl and I put that on top and I kind of let all of that absorb. And then I sprayed my crock pot down really good. Even though I used a liner, I still sprayed it really good. And then I put the bread pieces in it and I poured that mixture over it. And holy cow, you guys, it popped right out. Like, you could see it popped right out because I sprayed it. I was able to put it on the cutting board and we all cut wedges and put butter and syrup on it. Dynamite. So I'll put the recipe that I started with, but essentially, like, I don't even know how to direct you to do that because it was your guys' suggestion to use all of those crusts for that, which was outstanding. And then now this is just a little like charcuterie board kind of thing that I put out alongside of the French toast because we did like more of a brunch. We still had like a few little hot pieces left, like a few mini corn dogs, a few mini of the cheese rangoons. It was like a few mozzarella sticks from Christmas Eve, like when we did appy kind of stuff. So I reheated those and threw that on the tray. And then, like, you could see, I just did like blackberries and raspberries. I did olives. I did carrots. I did broccoli. I did cucumber. I had some Triscuits there. I had some salami left over from like the night before. I had a little bit of these, oh, they were the balsamic vinegar pita chips from Aldi. They were fantastic. And then those little like mozzarella pearls, I put those on there so we could pick on that. But it was just really good. We had like the sweet from the French toast and the savory from the charcuterie board, and that's what we kind of picked on until dinner. It's a shame, speaking of dinner, I don't even know if I snapped a picture of my plate on Christmas Day. I don't think I did. I'll put a little pop-up right here of what my plate looked like on Christmas Eve. I did share that in my like Christmas Eve video and I put it on Instagram, but I did not like share what we had for Christmas Day. And we did make a ham and some mashed potatoes and like a couple of veggies and stuff. It was pretty downplayed. We just really wanted to relax, but there was so much ham left that I literally repurposed repurposed it all week long that following week. So one day we had breakfast sandwiches. I don't know if I got a picture of that. I don't think I did. Daryl brought one to work, so I have a lunch clip, but I don't know if I got a dinner clip. But I used the croissants that we get from Costco, and I just did eggs, cheese, and the sliced ham. That was fantastic. We had that one night for dinner, and then the following night I took the bone and whatever meat was left and I made this soup. I would be lying, you guys, if I told you that I slaved over this soup for like days and days, but it's so not even true. I cut like 6 little Yukon Golds potatoes in cubes, and then I cut 4 stalks of celery, and I cut 1 small onion, and I put a little butter in the bottom of a pan, like a soup pot. And I just kind of braised the veggies so that they would bring out all of their flavors. And then I put the ham bone right on top of those vegetables, and I covered all the way to the top so that the ham bone was completely covered with chicken broth. And I just let it stew down and stew down to the point where you were able to just slide all of the rest of the ham off of that ham bone. We cut up all the ham the best that we could, and then you had celery, onions, ham, and potatoes in the soup. And then I just literally made a slurry with cream and flour and butter. That was it. And honestly, I could have even used milk. I didn't even need to use the heavy cream, but it was getting ready to go bad, so I just wanted to finish it up. But I just used the heavy cream, the butter, the flour, and made like a roux and poured that into the soup to give it a creamy, thicker factor. That is it, you guys. Jake does not like stuff like that, and he was like, "Mom, what is this soup?" I was like, "Oh, it's ham and potato soup that I use the bone for." It was literally so dynamite that he was like, "Did anybody else eat? Because I kind of want to eat it all." He just loved it, and we didn't do anything else like on the side, like not sandwiches or anything. We just topped with some crackers because it was so good and hearty and flavorful. Had everything you need right inside. But I don't even have a recipe. Maybe I'll share it one day, but it was that easy. Daryl said, like, let's get a ham once a month and do that all the time because he absolutely loved it. So I would highly recommend some ham and potato soup. I'll put the recipe that I used from Pinterest in a link in the description box down below. So I had you guys all drooling on Instagram over this plate of food. And so I made this the other night. I did some Chinese takeout, and there's nothing better than cooking at home because truthfully, who needs to pay $10 a combination platter from your takeout place when I can make this at home? So that's the Trader Joe's orange chicken. Again, super simple, you guys. Defrosted right in a frying pan with a little bit of the vegetable oil and, sorry, not vegetable oil, olive oil and sesame oil. Again, sesame oil is the key. So a little bit of olive oil, sesame oil, saute them till crispy and add your sauce. And then I made some pork fried rice. So I used the rice from my Instant Pot, and then I used some leftover pork chops that we had in the freezer. Usually when I separate them to freeze them, I always leave 1 or 2 out to use for this purpose. So I diced it up and we sauteed that in the pan also with a little bit of olive oil and some sesame oil, and I added peas and carrots and a couple of scrambled eggs. And then once the rice was done, I went ahead and tossed that in and tossed it all up. And oh my goodness, the rice was outstanding. We used the broccoli and cauliflower saute kit from Trader Joe's. That was completely interesting and different. It was like a cold salad that you were able to make hot and top with croutons. I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. Everybody else was like, about it, but I liked it. And then I put some of the Taipei pork egg rolls in the air fryer. But you guys, like I said, who needs Chinese takeout when I can make it better than them at home? Boy, I wish that this picture did a little bit more justice to the recipe that I'm going to be sharing with you guys this upcoming week. So this is the garlic bread pot pie chicken casserole. I know it's like a mouthful, but I found this recipe on Pinterest, and holy cow, you guys, besides the fact that it is so stinking amazing, the garlic bread requirement for you is just to use like a regular loaf of French bread, and then you mix it into this really yummy, buttery, garlicky kind of mixture, and you let it soak up, and then you put that bread on top of this mixture that you're going to make. Like I said, I'm going to share the whole video with you, so don't panic. You will see this whole thing filling. But the trick is I use the everything bread that I always get from Walmart, and this stuff is just dynamite, you guys. The extra little flavor of the everything but the bagel seasoning on this bread that it's cooked into, that turns into this garlic bread, and essentially you're just using that on top of a really yummy like pot pie filling. I have a great pot pie recipe that I shared in the first cookbook that I wrote with Nicole and Vanessa. The pot pies are outstanding. Like, I have subscribers who literally come to me and tell me they've never had a better pot pie recipe because it's so good and it's so easy. But it's almost like just taking that filling, putting it on the bottom of a casserole dish, but then baking this garlic bread and cheese and stuff on top of it. Holy cow, it is so good, and I can't wait to share the recipe with you. So again, if you guys are new, make sure you are subscribed, because this is going to be a recipe you guys are seeing coming up really soon this week. Another recipe in that video is this deviled egg pasta salad that I made alongside of some skirt steak the other night. This pasta salad is so good, and it really does just taste like having a deviled egg in pasta salad form. And I actually really love egg, like a boiled egg inside salads like that. My aunt used to make a potato salad that she used hard-boiled egg in, and it was just so flavorful and so good, and it just brings back childhood memories. I mean, when I go home in the summertime, I still ask my aunt to make this pasta salad because I can't, a potato salad rather, because I can't make it like her. And this has that same feel to it, just with pasta instead. So that's another recipe that I'm excited to make with you guys. Otherwise, I just basted the steak in butter and garlic, and we threw the skirt steak on the grill. My girlfriend Jill loves the skirt steak, and that's her favorite. And I never really knew what her hang up on it was until this time. Like, it was so good, like with the butter and the garlic, and it was cooked perfectly on the grill. Usually I like my steak a little pinker in the middle, but it's kind of hard with skirt steak unless you're just gonna put it on for like a second. It was still super tender there though, and juicy. That's why I don't like it overdone, because I don't like it to be like shoe leather, but it was still really juicy and really tender, but cooked all the way through with the buttery garlic flavor. It was really yummy. And I had that pasta salad, and then I just did some sliced cucumbers on the side with some tahini. That's been like the family thing that we've been obsessed with lately, but this recipe was super good as well. And of course, our very last meal has to be topped with some kind of green onion, or a ton of green onion, because why not, right? But these are the sheet pan nachos that I just made last night on Tuesday, and I really wanted the Doritos from Trader Joe's. I spoke about them earlier, and if you guys have never had them, I'm not one for nacho cheese Doritos. Like, you probably couldn't pay me to eat Doritos brand nacho cheese Doritos. I like the blue bag, the Cool Ranch, the purple bag, the sweet chili. The regular red nacho cheese, just not my thing. But when my girlfriend suggested trying them to use them for nachos from Trader Joe's, and I got them, it was such a game changer, because they've just never had Doritos that tasted so good. You can tell that there's no chemicals in them, and they're just made better. I mean, there's still a ton of crap in the chips, but it's better than like a Dorito, and I just enjoyed it so much. And so to do the sheet pan nachos, but then to go to Trader Joe's and have them not have it when we had sheet pan nachos on the meal plan was like heartbreaking. But I got the great value ones, and they are still better than a regular Dorito. Like, there's something so chemically about a regular nacho cheese Dorito that you just don't get from even the great value kind. So I just topped that with seasoned ground beef and some tomato, sour cream, some shredded cheese, and of course a ton of green onion. And they were super delicious. I mean, how can you go wrong with nachos, right? Especially on Doritos. Yum, yum, yum. That was a yummy Taco Tuesday. But you guys, that is it. It has been 20 minutes of you guys listening to me babble about all the things that I have cooked in my kitchen. But like I said, if you guys can tell by my enthusiasm in my voice, I just love to cook. This is probably the best way that I've been able to fulfill the outlet that I've always had. I've just had this dream of having a restaurant or a food truck, and I never knew how I could feed so many people without being able to supply a building or a movable truck on wheels to physically feed everybody. But I feel like thanks to social media, I don't have to do that. I can be in your home and I could be cooking for you. It's just your hands doing the work, as long as I can guide you. And I truly hope that you guys enjoy coming along with me, because I certainly enjoy sharing it with you guys. So thank you for tuning in to another What's for Dinner video, you guys, the very first one of 2022. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a huge thumbs up. I love you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in another video. Bye, you guys.